in the high schools and try to give them a sense of what America is and who we are. I'm on the Foreign Relations Committee and the Intel Committee, so I do spend some time out of the United States, and I've had the good fortune to travel a lot of places in the world. And after you've, there's over 200 countries in the world, and we're so fortunate to have what we have here in America. And after you go to particularly third world countries, and you look around and you say to yourself, why is this? Why are these people living like this? And why are we living like what we have? And if you spend some time thinking about it, the differences aren't, they're pretty obvious to begin with. And secondly, they aren't huge things, but they are hugely important things. First of all, you have to have a stable government, which the founding fathers gave to us. And that's critical before you can do anything else, is having a stable government. And after that, what is the difference? Well, almost every other country in the world, almost every other country, the government tries to run the economy. And it's a small step for the government after they run the economy to run everybody's lives, everything that you do. And our difference is that we don't worship at the altar of government. Indeed, the people who put this country together really didn't want a government, or at least much of a government. They knew they had to defend the country. But beyond that, they knew that if they just turned people loose, if you just got out of the way and let human beings do what they do best, it'll be best for everyone. And that's really the thing that distinguishes our country. Unfortunately, over the last few decades in America, we have been fighting that proposition. There's people who work in this building that believe that they can do life for people so much better than people can do for themselves. And I always tell the kids in the high school, and I say, look, in closing here, let me say that you won't remember anything else I said here today, but please remember this. I say, you got an iPhone in your pocket, you got a car in the parking lot, you're going home to a big house. How'd that happen? How do you think that? Why is that the way it is? And they kind of look at it like, I don't know. And I said, you know what? You know who did this for you? And they, well, I don't know, and we're in a civics class, our teacher says the government, stop! The government did not do this for you. Your parents did this for you, your grandparents, other Americans did this for you, and they didn't do it because of the government, they did it in spite of the government, because we've had a government that's been trying to stomp on us for the last 3 decades. So, with that, go out, kids, and do good things, and anybody who tells you that the government can do something better for you than you can do for yourself is not telling you the truth. Anyway, so to talk a little bit about what we're doing here, obviously, the Chamber of Commerce is a wonderful organization, and the Chamber represents the free market, the free enterprise thought in America. So I'm always happy to partner with them. I'm always happy to appear at chamber events and talk about the things that we have in common. When people hear about the Chamber of Commerce, most people think about big companies like GE or Boeing, but what many people don't know is that the U.S. Chamber is a champion for small business owners all across the country. As a former state legislator, governor, entrepreneur, and now chairman of the Small Business and Entrepreneurship Committee in the Senate, I believe I have a unique perspective when it comes to small business and what can be done to promote growth and sustainability for the 28 million small businesses in our country. America's small businesses are truly the engine that keeps our economy running, creating 2 out of every 3 new jobs created in this country. I believe that Congress has a responsibility to help this engine roar by getting the government out of the way of our nation's entrepreneurs, the most talented people in America when it comes to creating jobs. Small businesses must have the opportunity to do what they have done so well to help make this the greatest country in the world over the last 241 years. We know that small businesses are vital to our economy, employing nearly half of the American workforce and making up 99.7% of all employers in the country. We've seen a steady and well-documented decline in startups and a persistently low GDP over the past decade, all of which is very worrying. It is because small businesses are so important to our economy that Washington needs to do all we can for businesses to start and to survive and to grow. And the most effective thing government can do is let them do it their way, not the government's way. Small business optimism has hit record high levels this year, due in large part to Congress and the new administration working hand in hand to undo the regulatory burden that has been hampering small businesses' growth. It's no secret that excessive regulatory burden that our nation's entrepreneurs face places them at a disadvantage. America's small business owners want to comply with reasonable regulatory structure. However, the time and money they spend complying with layers of regulation from a myriad of agencies obstructs their ability to focus on what truly matters, running their business. My Senate colleagues and I will continue to work with the administration on rolling back regulations that simply don't make sense, while taking a closer look at other issues facing the diverse small business community. Our committee has the oversight responsibility for the Small Business Administration, the SBA. I've been very impressed over the years with the SBA's focus on and commitment to small businesses. One area of the SBA that I strongly support is the Office of Advocacy. How many of you are familiar with the Office of Advocacy? Yeah. I wasn't until I got to Washington, D.C., but now I am. And we all know the federal government passes regulations at a stunning rate. The job of the Office of Advocacy is to act as an independent voice for small businesses in the regulatory process. When the government proposes a regulation, the Office of Advocacy is supposed to stand up and say, wait a minute, let me tell you how this is going to affect small businesses. We all know when the federal government and any one of its agencies enacts a regulation, it affects businesses in vastly different ways based on their size. If it's a large business, they generally have an army of lawyers, compliance officers, and accountants who can deal with the regulations and more easily absorb the costs. On the other hand, if it's a 1, 2, or 3 person business, just filling out the forms alone that the agencies require can be a huge burden. I'm extremely confident in America's entrepreneurs who are innovative and tenacious. On behalf of the people in my state of Idaho and all of those that I represent across the country as chairman of the Senate Small Business Committee, I work every day to ensure that government stays out of the way so that we can continue to create an environment where small businesses can thrive. I'd like to thank all of you here today, those of you who are small business owners yourselves, and those of you who join me in working to support our nation's small businesses and small entrepreneurs who are the real backbone of America. God bless you all, and thank you for coming today.